Today I want to make another reflection session about these practices that I'm doing now for a few months. I want to take a step back and look at a bigger picture and do a reflection not of how it's going lately, but just kind of remind myself with that what this is all about, how it's going, where I was, where I'm now, where I potentially want to go with all of this. So what I'm doing, I'm practicing with my emotions, actually. These practices are about my fears. These are fear practices, and I'm using YouTube videos to confront my fears. I'm trying. So, why am I doing this? I would like to make YouTube videos, but I have many fears, some through all of my life, like my fear of rejection and my fear of just not being good enough, and this feeling of being worthless. That is a trigger point in making videos. But also there are a lot of fears from the few past years that I have developed in trying to make my my own business, getting out of the social system, making my own YouTube channel. In the process of that, I had a lot of stress. I struggled a lot with mental issues and with physical sickness as well, and with a lot of stress and circulatory issues. The last past years were very stressful and painful years, and all of that negative emotions created additional fears that are now, with fears from before, blocking me in even thinking about making YouTube videos and how I want to go forward. And so these practices are targeted, and I'm doing them specifically in the way that I'm doing them to reduce these fears and to work with them. And that's why I'm putting such a big effort on being comfortable. And that's why I'm taking so small steps. And overall, I have to say, without explaining anything here, that these practices are going really well, I would say. They're not going as I have expected them or as I want them, but that's probably mostly because my expectations were very wrong and I wasn't able to really see what I need. And in a way, these practices also help me understand what I need and where I have to go. That's a very much a dynamic, ongoing process. So these practices also helped me a lot on learning about myself and learning about how to deal with these emotions. I have to say, with these practices and never doing them now, I started like on 1st May, so I'm doing this now for 3.5 months, nearly daily, with a few exceptions. I had like, I think, a little bit of a break like the last week in May, and I had some few Sundays mostly that I just took off. I just said, okay, I won't do a practice, I just make a free day. And other than that, I mostly did practices every single day. So this is now, we are at practice 82. This is the 82nd video that I'm making. I had more practices because, well, in the last phase that I'm still in, that was just interrupted, I separated the planning of videos from recording them on 2 different days. So I have more than 82 actual practices now, but the result were 82 videos that were produced in them. And it's very much for the videos, it's very much not about the videos. At this point, I do not care if these videos are good. I do not care that they make videos. It's actually not goal still that they get any views. This is like, I do not worry and I do not care about if these videos make views or anything like that. I try to incorporate slowly steps so that I one day can get there, like how I'm trying to with looking at the camera, how I'm trying to introducing structures, but also the focus in that a lot of times is just at one side it's exploration of how do I feel with it. If I add an element, if I add if I try to make a structure and execute it or make a plan, what if I make a thumbnail to this or whatever, like I just add little steps that slowly like nudge me towards videos that would actually be able to reach people. they will actually be able to be enjoyable to watch. I'm trying to introduce them, but it's also in that sense I'm focusing on how does this affect me? How are my emotions changing when I add another step, like a small layer? And they're expanding. Like from like if we look at like the thumbnails, I started, for example, with the packaging of videos. I started with none at all. They were all just numbered. Like I'm still numbering them through, but the title was just a number. I had no thumbnail at the beginning. I just used one of the free automatic generated thumbnails that were picked from a frame from the video from YouTube. And for example, at some point, I just found them very badly picked. So I just picked customly and like on my manually a frame on the video, like I just exported when I cut it. The video, I just export one of the frames, mostly at the beginning, the start or the end frame, or one of them, and just use that. So I'm didn't use the given thumbnail from YouTube, but like exported one that was of the same kind of that. And then at some point I added a title, and then with like the dash and the number and how I'm still doing it. And then at some point I just didn't just export a frame, but I exported a frame and then add like a text. And at this point, I'm not just exporting the frame and adding a text. I'm also like adding a little bit of shadow that is a little bit integrated, that feels a little bit more grounded, having just like a picture with like the text that's a little bit more grounded in the image, with just giving it a little bit of a shadow. And with some of the art stuff, I actually like traced another image or a screenshot from something and showed just like an object that I made, traced it out and placed it in like the frame picture. So now I have like actually like a few layers on how my packaging improved over all of these practices. And now like that's kind of my baseline. Like it feels a little bit weird and a little bit easy and yeah, like below my baseline, doing less. And it's kind of what I'm like what I've experienced, what this practice, what they make these practices are not of pushing the ceiling, they're not pushing what I'm capable of. They're pushing the floor. They are pushing like the lowest baseline of what I'm capable of. And I kind of have to say I really like the idea of focusing on pushing like the least quality. Like I'm not making the best video, but I'm raising the bar of what my worst videos are. That means every video that I make hits at least this bar, and I'm slowly but steadily I'm raising the bar of the worst videos that I'm able to produce, and everything less kind of feels even off for me at this point. But it's just like that's not a normal video of me anymore. That's not like my lowest baseline. They're a little bit below that at this point. So and with that, it's another aspect that I find myself appreciating what these practices are doing, that they kind of normalize all of these aspects. Like as I said, they kind of normalize that I'm thinking about like just the very base structure I'm doing for packaging. They are normalizing just like that I'm making videos. At this point, I have like zero worries, just turning on the camera, talking about a thing and uploading it to the public for everyone visible. Not that anyone sees that, but a few months ago that would have made me worried. It would have stressed me. It would have felt weird to sit here and talk to the camera and share thoughts or whatever with the world in a way. I mean, I'm not practically, but still these videos are out there, and everything that I say, I have to assume they will never leave the internet. I have to assume someone might have copied that stuff, and I will not be able to take it offline. Like everything that's published is not, there's no way that these things guaranteed can be taken offline. Even if I put them private or just delete them, they might just be copied somewhere and they spread. I mean, again, not that they're doing that right now because no one's watching my videos, which is not the point. The point is that the possibility is there. Every time I upload something, potentially it's always visible for everyone. And I can't do anything about that. And that creates a vulnerability, that creates a threat. And that's something that I could feel them, and at this point I don't really feel it, at least not for the content that I'm making currently. There are still like barriers and like areas and topics where I very much feel like, "Oh, I don't want to talk about this, I don't want to show this, I don't want to do this." That's always okay. There always will be topics which is also just very valid to just have things that I don't want the public to even be able to know. That's just fine. I think that should also be the thing. It should be that way. But yeah. So I was talking about how it's normalizing. These practices are very much normalizing and kind of making things boring, and or at least feel boring. It just feels normal now to do these practices. There's nothing frightening or discomforting about it. What I have to say, what I find on one side fascinating, but also confusing, or what I still don't understand, is I didn't really experience many of the fears. Pretty much none, I would have to say. There were very few actual practices. Like from the 82 videos that I produced, there are like not even 5 where I can say there were some negative emotional issues. I can think at least of 3, maybe 4, maybe there are 5. I can't remember potentially, but not that much more. So it's actually not even 10% of the practices were negative experiences, even a lot less than that. So the vast majority of my experience were actually quite great. I really enjoy making these videos, even if I feel like a lot of times before, I don't want to do this. This is like just a task that I have to get done. When I'm doing these practices, also like the planning, but more so even the recording, just the video creation, and just like the talking to camera is something that I have to say I really enjoy. I really enjoy recording myself. I really enjoy making videos. It's such a different feeling, and at this point, it's not necessarily something like before. I know the experiences from the last years where it really felt like the camera is stressing me. I feel vulnerable. I feel that the camera and the recording part and the knowledge, okay, this will be public, makes me think less. Like it takes something away from me. It limits me. But at this point, at least for a lot of topics and for a lot of recordings, I had a lot of experience where I just feel like this feels really great. This is fun. This feels alive. This feels quite different to a lot of other experiences that I have in my life, and I really enjoy the excitement sometimes, and the how I feel alive when I record. It's a very different kind of feeling that I have when I'm recording. It's not necessarily very strong, but I very much experience it, and I really enjoy this feeling of this very calm excitement. It's also a lot of times very much focuses me. It's very much like making me feel alive in a very different way. It often feels a lot of, again, it brought me focus, it brought me calm, it brought me a sense of excitement and being alive. So it was a very pleasant, overall, it was not just a pleasant, it was a very great experience. All of these recordings, I really enjoy doing them when I'm there. For some reason that I, at this point, don't completely understand, there's something outside of it that makes me seemingly forget this. Like again, when I'm doing this, oh, I'm sorry, I have to turn off my air conditioner. It's getting a little bit too cold in here. Where was I? I was saying, yeah, this gap. I feel great in this experience. A lot of time, I have a very good time recording, and most of the time, even after it, I feel really, really good with doing these practices. But outside of these practices, a lot of time I feel like there's a disconnection, like this enjoyment that I have when I'm doing it doesn't seem to affect a lot of my behavior outside of it. And I kind of know the same experience from doing yoga, which I've done also the last months, which I really enjoyed doing. I really enjoyed doing the yoga exercises that I've done the last months, and I feel really great doing them and after them, in the same way how I really enjoy a lot of times doing just meditations overall. And I'm using yoga also just more of an active meditation. And I really, really enjoy and love doing them. But I struggle to then get back to them. Like I always lose track. I'm trying for a few years now to make any kind of meditation like just a daily habit, and I always lose track of them. For some reason, I enjoy them so much, and for some reason I'm incapable of sticking to them. I always lose track for them, and that's kind of the same feeling with these practices currently, where I really enjoy doing them. They're really great when I'm in them, but when I'm out of them, they feel a lot more like they are a chore. I just want to get them done. I don't look forward to them. There's this disconnect. And at this point, I don't understand yet. There are at least one, maybe even more puzzle elements that I'm just missing, where I don't completely understand what makes that. What makes this happen? That there's this disconnect between I enjoy them that much, but then I don't have a pull to them. So there's something that actively pushes me away from the practices. I don't feel like from the practice it's that much where I had it with yoga. I think like because the practices are just a lot more important to me. They're just a lot more. I'm just a lot more committed, and I just feel like they are my main priority as a task every day. And that just I think that might counteract this push away from these experiences. And I don't completely understand yet where this hesitation factor comes from, because I don't feel it that much. I mean, yes, again, I feel like when I'm outside, they are more like, okay, I have to do them, and not so much I'm looking forward to them. So I feel more a push away from them and not a draw to these experiences. I'm not completely sure what is causing this, and what is like the mechanic between this, and how to potentially change them. That is something to still discover. I hope I can learn more about this in the future. If I now just come back to the practices themselves, again, overall, they have worked really well. And where do I want to go with them? Let's just wrap it a little bit up and look a little bit more in the future. Where do I want to bring these practices? There are a few things that I think I want to, with all of what I talked about, want to keep in mind. I want to keep them with the focus where they are for probably at least quite a bit. I want to keep them focused on emotions. I want to keep them focused on exploring emotions and like overcoming any kind of negative emotions, which is the main focus of this practice. And I don't want to change that at any point soon. I don't have any kind of, I don't see anytime soon where that will change. At least not in the next months, I would assume. Things will change potentially, and when things change, things change. So that might change at some point, but I don't even see an indicator at this point where this might change. So this is very much still what I have to set in stone, where I will just continue down with this. I also want these practices to, as they have done so far, show me what they need. I still want to just be very open and experimental with them, and just explore and listen to what comes out of them, and then adjust and follow that. And in that, explore and experience my emotions more. And yeah, that's which is very much how they were before, and I don't want to change that soon. And I don't have any plans of when I might want to change them. I haven't seen anything yet where I would say, okay, even like at this point, there might be a change in that. I don't see a change in that. So I very much want to continue this and very much want to have my focus on that. Things that I might want to change. At this point, it's a little bit difficult to say, very much difficult to say. Right now, in the next days and the next week and probably the next weeks, I just want to get back into them. Especially this week, I just want to get back into them. So I just want to be a little bit slower and a little bit easier on them. I assume I will just make a few more very easy talking videos. And then after that, I think I will want to get back into, okay, planning and looking at how can I expand things, what things I can try out from the directions. If I want to do a little bit more game dev experimentation, or if I want to stay a little bit more on the mental topic side, but also like on the format. What kind of formats do I want to maybe try out to experiment with? That's something that I see, like maybe next week I come back to, and then we just adjust from there. That's currently, I think, my plan. And maybe next, like in weeks, or like in 10 days or something like that, or in 2 weeks, I might do another reflection session and just look at how things have changed and adjust from there. That's how I think I want and I should go forward. So that's what I will do. I hope you have a nice day.